Renegades of Long Beach Roller Derby, and you're watching MoonKILL Radio. Woo!
MoonKILL, what's on the slab? What's on the slab? That's right, man. This is a good one. This is a good funky one. Funk. We're gonna get funky for you. Capital F, F-U, F that. Okay. This is man, one of my favorite albums. This is a great album. I'm not gonna lie. I first heard about it. I first knew about it as a sample record with a record with a sample on it. But it became one of my most favorite records, just solid, full-on records of all time. 1975. 1975. Tower of Power. Right? In the Slot. Yeah. So 1975. Tower of Power. The band Tower of Power from Oakland, California. In the Slot record. Okay. Wow. Let's see. Tower of Power first came out early 70s, if I remember correct. And they had hits. They had a few singers. This was, let's see. Hubert Tubbs is singing this one right here. But they had there's what, 5, 10, holy crap, 10 dudes in this band, all right? You got singing, you got singer, drums, bass, guitar, of course, but then you got all the horns. So you're talking bands, and this is where I give, I think people should give praise to the earlier bands that came out, like even Chicago or Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I mean, it's one thing to be a rock and roll band and have a horn player, like Bob Seger's and stuff like that, and different, it's a rock and roll, a lot of rock and roll bands, horn players, or, but these were like the bands. I think a lot of it too came from like all the show bands, the shows live, so and so, and they have the backup band with all the horns on it. These guys just became one solid band, made music like Chicago, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, stuff like that. So instead of just a traveling band or a backup band, this was the band. This was it. This is what you got. This album, again, probably in the middle. It's the middle of the 70s. They had hits already. They had some songs, So Very Hard to Go, What Is Hip. I think by this time they had You're Still a Young Man. I'm not sure, which was the slow cut. But this one here is my favorite for a lot of reasons. My favorite, personal. Let's see. Let's go through the track list. Side 1, and you get what, 6? There's 12 songs in here, man. So you just got all kinds of jamming on here. Just Enough and Too Much starts off your album. Treat Me Like Your Man. If I Play My Cards Right. As Surely As I Stand Here. Fanfare. Matanuska. And then on the serious side. Okay, that's side 1. Side 2. Side 2 starts off with Ebony Jam. You're So Wonderful, So Marvelous. Okay. Vuela por Noche. Right? Yeah. Sorry if you guys watch any of these. I'm not good on the Spanish lingo. Then you have Essence of Innocence, The Soul of a Child, and then the title cut ends it. Even though the name of the album is In the Slot, the title is called Drop It in the Slot. Okay. Damn. Jeez, there's your back cover right there. There's your track list. Who's got the credits? All your creds there. Here's a list of players, man. Hubert Tubbs, lead vocals. Bruce Conte, guitar, background vocals. And that guy, Bruce Conte, he was putting out some solo stuff and touring. This is some years back, but I saw this guy open up for Fred Wesley. That's right, the one and only Fred Wesley at BB King's at Universal Studio, Universal Walk, whatever it is. But his jam, man, his band jammed, dude, jammed. Good stuff, man. And of course, Fred Wesley, who doesn't love Fred Wesley, you know. Chester Thompson, Francis Rocco, Prestia, David Garibaldi on drums. So David Garibaldi on drums, man. Remember that name, okay, as a drummer. Lenny Pickett on the horns. Emilio Castillo on the horns. Steve Kupka, baritone sax. Okay, Mike Gillette, horns. Greg Adams, horns. Right, so you got a 5-piece band right here. Then you got a 5-piece horn section right here, man. Actually, a 6-piece kind of horns and you know, different stuff. But David Garibaldi on the drums. Let's get to that real quick. Listen, the main thing on here is Ebony Jam. Opens up. That's just the first song, second side. Beginning of the song starts off with the drum track and a drum break. Okay, which is one of the best drum breaks that I love, which has been sampled in numerous rap songs, hip hop songs. But for those that have watched it before, my favorite rap album of all time is De La Soul's Dead. And a track on there is Rolling Skating Jam called Saturdays. That is the drum track for it. That's where they sample the drums. Okay, Ebony Jam, Tower of Power in the slot record. But it is also a jamming instrumental. It is an instrumental. Okay, you got a singer, man. He sings on I would say about, he was singing, I think there's 2 instrumentals on this, if I remember off the top of my head, but that is one of them. And another great thing, when I saw Bruce Conte perform, I talked to him about his CD, talked to him a little bit, you know, and I said, dude, because I didn't know at the time, or I didn't remember, and I said, hey, man, you know what, I'm a big fan of Tower Power. Yeah, I said, I love your band, it was great, you know, I bought a CD, he signed it for me. I said, but man, the song Ebony Jam, that was just, you know, and not just because it's a sample, that is a bad song, man. That is just a bad song. This is a kind of album, this is a funk, but this is a deep funk album, because it's not like your typical top 40 funk or R&B album. There's a lot of progressiveness on this album, that a lot of jazz. This is more like a fusion jazz funk album, you know, because there's a lot of even the playing itself, you know, a lot of horns in it, but they do a lot of different stuff on this album, man. And it's just like Ebony Jam, that one, that's like basically a funk jazz album, a funk jazz song, you know. And it's got different progressions in it, breakdowns, everything. I mean, they break it down again with just in the middle of the song where it's just drums, and they get back into it. Oh, it's a phenomenal song. But I asked him, and he said, yeah, that was one of his favorite songs also that they ever did. And apparently he remembers when this album came out, there was a TV show that used to be called The Gong Show, I believe. It was one of those like that, it was a talent show or a variety show. He said it was a little kid at the time, and it's been like 10, 12 years old, and he did a dance to that particular song. And he's like, even he said he hit every note, knew every piece of the song, and hit it on that show. Danced the whole song, hit every note for note on that song. Drop in the Slot, more of a funk disco track, not disco, but as they would call it back then, disco, more of a funk track. But I learned that a lot with Lockers, you know. A lot of lockers love that song, but for my money, it's the opening cut, just enough and too much. That is one of the funkiest, grooviest, baddest tracks ever made, man. Especially the horn part, the organ parts. But this, and as a whole, that's one of the baddest tracks ever made. So if you want to get, like I try to bring albums and tell you people, hey, in my opinion, start here, start there. If you don't know Tower of Power, I would say if you're into a lot of real funkiness, a lot of but not your basic R&B. If you can get with a little bit of fusion, or progressive kind of instrumentalist kind of music, but they keep it, they don't go off, so it's not like Yes with a bunch of horns or not like that, If you like a little bit of progression, but they still hone in a good solid soul R&B sound. This is one of the best albums you can find. Again, Hubert Tubbs, dude, has got a great voice. There's a few ballads on here, and he sings his ass off, man. My man Hubert is on it. Okay, but there are other albums, but again, if you want to hear, if you like to collect some records that have samples and stuff on them, this is got Ebony Jam, which has the drum track. Drop It in the Slot has also been sampled. I can't remember off the top of my head where. I would have my buddy Abel here chiming in on that one, but that has also been sampled as well. And again, if you're like me, and you could dance to a lot of different stuff, man. I love dancing. Just the opening cut alone. And you listen to that organ. The organ to me is what gets it going. It's just funky as hell with the guitar part, And they're basic. They just keep it in the groove, man. But it's just the organ. You get that organ, boom, 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 diddling, diddling. Oh man, diddling, diddling. Oh, that in the background, man, that sends me into space, Jack. I'm telling you. But there you go. For those who wants to get funky, get your little dance on. You got some samples in here. You get your ballads. You got good soul, a big horn section doing different things, a couple instrumentals for you. But again, there's a lot of fusiony, jazz, soul, just progressiveness on here as a band. Man, they really opened it up on this album, which is why it's one of my favorite albums, man. 1975's In the Slot by Tower of Power. Okay, some instrumentals, a bunch of singing, just good instrumentation, good stuff, man. Again, for what's on the slab, that's for that one. You guys leave your comments and everything else you got. Check out our info in the info section, and we'll be back with another one, man. All right, MoonKILL Radio, what's on the slab, route.